Hey guys, this is Kunal from TradingSim.com. I wanted to do a day trading example on a trade that started developing, last Friday into Tuesday. This was an interesting stock, HOG, which stands for Harley Davidson. There were buyout or takeover rumors on this stock that surfaced last Friday, and the stock took off handsomely and handsomely rewarded the longs. It was up probably in the area of 20%. It was up about 10 points. And so very, very strong action into Friday's close. And, I currently have the replay running from July the 5th, which is Tuesday. But just ignoring this price action here, we can kind of see this consolidation range forming in Friday. After we had this big ramp, we had this bull flag setting up, nice little consolidation range, and then right around right after about 3-ish, this stock just took off right into the close. So at this point in time, there's no trade. We don't have a trade. I mean, you could have traded this consolidation range breakout, but we're typically done by 11:30, so this was not something I was keeping an eye on. But what I was keeping an eye on was the fact that news broke that Harley Davidson, the buyout, was actually unsubstantiated, and so come Tuesday morning, the stock gapped down pretty heavily, and so you can see it's down 8% immediately off that Friday close, and the stock opened up at around, let's call it around 49.5. So the big drop on the open, 5-point drop, and the key thing to keep an eye on here is that this range that provided such good support for this stock on Friday was completely blown out on the open. So now what we've done is we've come back up to the top of this range, and so as most of you know who have watched a lot of my videos, is I don't like to take trades in the first 15 minutes or so of the day. It'll be very rare that I do something like that, and so what I'm doing right now is I'm just watching how this stock reacts. Specifically at this broken support level here. We can see that it's having some trouble getting back up through it, and so this is our first warning sign that this stock actually wants to go a little bit lower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward this. I just changed this to 1 minute per second, so every minute or every second in real time we're going to move forward by about a minute. And you can see I'm on a 5-minute chart here. What we attempted to do, we had a low here, 49.50 on the open, that was taken out, but it's quickly recovered. So let's just keep an eye on this. Okay, so here's what I did, and let me just walk you through this a little bit. So on that initial spike down, and I'm going to pull it up on a 1 minute to just give us a little better view. On this initial spike down here, 49.19, we kind of put some support into the market. On the 1 minute chart, it came right back to the 9 EMA and completely failed. And so when we went under this 49.48 low, we, the first assumption is that we're going to come back to this 49.18, and then we're going to see what happens there. So from my perspective, I took a starter short here right around 49.50. I kind of took it a little bit, right in that 49.50 area is where I took the first shot, and then when it broke this 49.18, I took it short again. So I went full position, probably on an average of 49.50, 49.20-ish. I took about average position 49.35-ish is where I got in. Okay, so now let me just pull this back to a 5-minute chart. And the reason I took that trade is because, again, this resistance, the support which turned into resistance, failed right here. So we're taking that trade on a short here. Our expectation, if we look at our daily chart on the right-hand side, the question is, where can this thing go? It went up significantly, so there is equally significant downside if those rumors are actually false. I'm going to point to this area. We saw it hold support here. The stock messed around, but then we came back up to it here and here, and so 47-ish could be an area of support. Right now we're at about 49. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to keep an eye on this 9 EMA, and let's just see if this stock becomes a trending stock. Right, we're just messing around here. You got to remember, this is one of those stocks that there's extreme volatility. So the moves are very fast, number one, and number two is the price ranges are going to be wide, and so if you're starting to think about going really heavy into a stock like this, you're going to have to keep in mind that your P&L is going to fluctuate like crazy, and so emotionally you may be driven to make a bad decision just because you see large P&L. But regardless, at this point everything looks fairly constructive to the downside. We're trying to put a bottom in here, and you can see that attempt did not work out. Again, we're still below that declining 9 EMA. And now there we go. So we get a little short squeeze right there, and let's just see what happens. And so you can kind of see that 49 is kind of being pegged right now. And if we look at a swing perspective, we have this high up here, which is about 49.31. So from my perspective, I'm going to cover my short for break even if it breaks above 49.31. And what we did here was we tapped 49.23. Okay, so let's just move a little bit slower so we can see what happens. And you can see this is a 5-minute chart, so there's about almost 30 minutes of action, 25 minutes of action right at this low of about 49. If 49 breaks, the 9 EMA fails, you could see a move back down lower pretty quickly. And there we go. In 1 minute, this thing went down 0.5%. I apologize, it went down over 1%. So you can see this thing failed hard at that 9 EMA, and that was a good confirmation that this thing wants to continue to go lower. Right, at this point, nothing's really been broken that in terms of stops or rules or any of that stuff. And so we continue to trend lower against this 9 EMA. If we look at that daily chart, right, 47 and a quarter is an area which was able to provide some resistance in the past. We broke above that, so we could come back to that 47 and a quarter. We'll want to be looking to take positions off at that level, but we got to keep an eye on this. I mean, it could stop 30 cents short, and if we see a reversal signal, we got to take it. So what you see now is this thing is trying to attack that 9 EMA. Volume is starting to pick up a little bit, and there you go. So the 9 was taken out, and so let's just draw our support lines. How could we have managed this trade? That's the question. And so on the 9 EMA, on the takeout of the 9 EMA, I'm going to cover half of my short. Especially when I see this momentum building up on these bars here, right? This was like basically an engulfing pattern right here. So this was your first sign. And then we tried to take out 9, we didn't, but we didn't really pull back too hard off of it, and we took it out. So that's your first sign. Get out of some of this position. I'm looking at this level right here. 48.27 is going to be a level that we want to watch. 48.25 to 48.30. That's going to be an area that we want hog to hold under. Right, so now what we've done is we've broken through the 9 EMA, and you can kind of see here we came back to test it, and this thing is holding. So the market is getting a little more bullish in here. You can see the 5-period RSI is getting a little overbought. Doesn't mean it couldn't get more overbought, but now we are coming into a big resistance area. So this is going to be, something that we want to keep an eye on, and you can see we took it out. So you kind of want to be out of this thing. We're not fortune tellers. We don't really know if it's going to go back down or not. So we want to get out of the other half of it. So the second piece, we got about $1 out of the first piece. We took a little bit more. So, about $1.15 on this trade, about 2.5% is what we took. Let's just see what happens after this. And the other thing I want to mention is one of the other reasons why you want to be careful is around this time, because this is lunchtime, right? So you want to be careful about your expectations of volatility after about 11:30. I don't like to be trading. I don't like to be putting on new positions after that time, and so I'm looking to get out of positions. This one, even though it took this level out, it is. Let's just see if it breaks a 9 EMA, but and there it went. I'm not regretful about getting out of my position. I made good money and I booked my profits. And you can just see there's this chop going on here now. So it really isn't worth my time. So in any case, I hope I was able to give you guys a good walkthrough of how we traded HOG on Tuesday. It was a pretty good trade. I mean, especially these news-driven trades. The second you see something that indicates that some deal or some buyout is falling through, those can cause kind of panicky type sell-offs, which is what we saw here. So anyways, if you have any questions on how we traded this or anything else in the markets, email us at admin@tradingsim.com, and feel free to take our 7-day trial to TradingSim. Just visit tradingsim.com, and you'll get an idea of what we kind of offer. I wish you the best of luck in trading.